the recruiting timeline. So this is going to be how your son can actually get noticed, get offers, and stop guessing. And most families have no true plan, all right? So this is going to be the step-by-step process that's helped my players go from overlooked to getting recruited. So let's start off by, who is this webinar even for? So if you are a parent of a high school baseball player who is serious about playing college baseball, he's looking for guidance and development without chasing evaluation events, taking a bunch of lessons from maybe underqualified coaches, or spending thousands on a recruiting service. And also, if your player is hungry, he's coachable, and he's ready to level up, this will be the most important maybe 30 minutes you spend this entire season. The agenda is simple. We're going to go over the recruiting timeline for high school baseball players, the Triple Play program, which is my program, and then we're going to cover those bonus gifts that maybe you guys even signed up for this webinar for. So who is this, who's this Triple Play, and who is this not for? Players who are 7th grade and younger. I don't even work with 7th grade and younger because honestly, I need players to have a certain level of accountability. And typically speaking, high schoolers are the ones that have that accountability. Players who need to be reminded to do the work. I don't like working with players that don't hold themselves accountable for the work that they need to do. Parents who care more about recruiting than development. Obviously, development's priority number one. And families looking for a magic shortcut or a quick Band-Aid fix to all their solutions. And then also athletes who ghost their coaches and just, again, skip that accountability. Anyone who isn't serious about actually playing college baseball. And the bottom line is, this isn't a hand-holding program as far as the Triple Play, and we'll get into that a little bit more. It's for self-driven players. So who is the Triple Play for, real quick? 8th graders and older, high schoolers who are driven and coachable, someone that actually wants a real plan to get recruited, and athletes who have already trained hard but just need a little bit additional structure, a little bit more exposure, maybe some accountability, players who are late bloomers, overlooked, and stuck on their team without any proper guidance, and parents who want to support their son. So if your son is serious about getting better, getting noticed, and getting an offer, this was built for him. Why does this even matter though? You might be asking yourself already. Well, college coaches aren't watching random games hoping your son stands out anymore. That's not the way that we're going to be going about the whole college recruiting process. The game has changed, and the recruiting game has changed as well. So if you don't have a clear plan, you're truly falling behind. And I just want to tell you a quick little story about one of my students, Earhart. He mentioned that there were truly players on his high school team that were better than him, but have not led to any college commitments or conversations with coaches because they didn't have a plan, or they didn't know how to reach out to college coaches. So by the end of this webinar, you'll see exactly how my students are landing college commitments and seeing real results, just like Derek, who's been able to increase his exit velocity and mound velocity, and also decrease his 60 time. And also like JT, who has done the same. So, and this is all without like wasting money on random showcases or spamming 200 plus coaches on a recruiting service with no actual plan, or relying on your high school or maybe even travel ball coach to just like handle it because you don't know how to do any of it. Burning out from overtraining without any results. So your player's not, going to hit maybe a plateau if you just continuously do generic workout programs, but this is where we overcome those plateaus. And traveling maybe an hour plus to your local hitting guru that overcharges for just a simple 30 minutes or an hour hitting lesson. So I bet you're probably already curious, why in the world would you even listen to me? And I totally understand that. So I was a 4-year starter in high school on varsity. I was pretty undersized. I played D1 baseball at NC State. I studied aerospace engineering. I was a right-handed pitcher, converted to a third baseman my sophomore year. I was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals. I played 7 years of professional baseball, 6 of them with the Cardinals, 1 with the San Diego Padres. I also represented Team Columbia in the World Baseball Classic. That's where my dad's from. I've helped millions of players through online content completely for free. As you can tell, in every single month, basically, we get over 1 million views every single month. And I've been doing content for the past 5 years. So it's safe to say, yes, millions of players we have helped out. And for those that don't know, our DMs, especially on Instagram, we are live on Instagram as well. Our DMs are open. So feel free to DM us, and we've helped thousands, tens of thousands, I would assume, inside the DMs. And we've personally helped hundreds within my private academy and built the Triple Play system after living it as a baseball player. So I didn't have a coach in high school who walked me through it. So I became that coach for others. So most families, they have it completely backwards, completely flip-flopped, and this is where a lot of families will go wrong. They wait for their high school coach to help make it happen. Maybe they're attending some random showcases without a plan or thinking a highlight reel is the key. You don't need exposure first. You need that foundation and the timeline to make it ultimately happen. So we're in the middle of a recruiting whiplash. Yes, we're in the middle of a recruiting whiplash because all the rules in the NCAA are changing so rapidly. So the rules are changing. 1 week it's about exposure, maybe it's GPA, maybe it's about a recruiting service, maybe it's throwing harder, hitting bombs and showcasing it all on social media and becoming a baseball influencer. Parents are reacting to everything, but moving towards absolutely nothing. Okay, we're being very reactive rather than proactive. So most players are being stuck in motion of like a hamster wheel without making, again, any level of progress. So then came the whole portal tsunami, right? Because now high school baseball players, you guys are competing with 22-year-old transfers with 400 college at-bats. They're physically mature, they've put on some weight, maybe they're 195, 200 pounds as a shortstop. It's like, holy cow, how am I going to compete with these guys? And I'm undersized and I don't have that structure. Maybe, coaches aren't waiting for that potential to hit. They're really recruiting that production that's already been proven at the collegiate level. So the window to stand out has gotten very, very tinier, and it's honestly gotten a little bit earlier. And also, just because it's always been the case, it's always been competitive. I hear it so many times on calls. Every once in a while, I'll hop on calls with families, and you guys think like the whole college recruiting process has gotten more competitive, when in reality, it's always been competitive. It's been competitive in the 1970s, the 1990s, the early 2000s. It's always been competitive. It's just that the competition now has so many different pieces or resources available to them. Social media is available to the current athletes in high school. Social media was not available for those student athletes in the 1990s. It's just plain simple. So in a sense, it's easier, but it's also that much more competitive, and it will always be competitive. So if your player doesn't have a real plan, he's not even in the conversation. So that's why guessing just doesn't work anymore. You can't afford to just keep winging it or doing what everyone else is doing, because everyone else, let's be honest, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're not going to get recruited. It's as simple as that. 7%, I think it is, that play college baseball. So that's precisely why I built the triple play system. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what works in today's recruiting world. So let's go over the recruiting timeline, grade by grade. As you can see, the graduation year is down below for 8th graders, 9th graders, all the way up until 12th graders. So 8th and 9th grade versus 10th to 12th. Let's just talk recruiting real quick, okay? Recruiting for 8th and 9th graders, I'm gonna be transparent with you guys. It is a speed bump in the road. Not many times do you really overthink about a speed bump in the middle of a road, right? Because it's pretty easy to overcome. But what I see with a lot of families, it's really that inaction throughout the high school years that leads that speed bump in the road will transition into a huge, massive mountain out of nowhere. And it's like, holy cow, how do I get to the top? How do I overcome this? Because we waited for so many years rather than being proactive. And again, you guys are being very reactive in those early stages. So the foundational year for 8th graders, this is focused on building that routine, making sure that you're doing like some level of body weight and maybe some light weights in the gym, at least being curious about wanting to do stuff in the gym. That's exactly what I was doing in 8th grade. Heavily focused on that athleticism and agility. So a lot of footwork drills, speed and agility will help. Visualize that future of what college could look like, and especially high school, because high school's more or less in front of you more than college. And again, recruiting, it's a speed bump, so let's not focus on it too much, but let's get the motion going. Let's get the wheels in motion. So the earlier you start, the clearer the path, right? So that's where a lot of people don't want to start until junior year, August 1st, when college coaches can start communicating with them. That was earlier this month. And ideally, those families that I meet when it's August 1st, they already feel behind because there have been players their sophomore and freshman year that has started to get the wheels in motion. And again, those individuals have a clear path, okay? So 9th graders, freshman year, this is our identity year. it's okay to not go with the crowd. It's okay to be that black sheep, right? Because if you're going with the crowd, there's plenty of distractions in high school and in college, parties and all that fun stuff. You don't necessarily want to be like everyone else in high school, especially in freshman year. There's a lot of peer pressure about a million things. I won't have to go into all of that. But if you want to truly become baseball's 1%, you quite literally have to be that black sheep. So if you are mentally developed and you have a great foundation as a player, this is my goal to you ninth graders out there. Try to make varsity. I was and by the way, I didn't say anything about physically being developed because I was 5'7", 140 pounds as a freshman on varsity competing with 18-year-old men. In a sense, it felt like they were absolutely grown men. They had chest hair. It was crazy, right? And I was a little dweeb freshman on varsity, very, very undersized. You can see in that last picture that jersey is wearing me. I am not wearing that jersey. So you should know also by ninth grade how to lift with proper form. Mid-season lifting. A lot of people are against this, but guess what? Ever since my sophomore year of high school, I was very fortunate to have gone to a very high-level baseball program at Sarasota High School in Sarasota, Florida. We lifted during the year. And guess what I did throughout my collegiate career and throughout my 7 years of pro ball? We lifted during the season. So start to get used to it. It's the way of life as a baseball player. I've been getting into golf recently, but it seems like a crazy, crazy phenomenon. Tiger Woods, all of a sudden, he's big, strong. He can drive the ball a mile in the early 2000s. And golf turned into like a, hey, you need to work out so you can hit the ball really far, right? Same thing with baseball. Obviously, you need to be a physical specimen to be able to play at the highest levels, and that's why it's important to maintain that strength that you've built in the off season. So you should have a clear-cut routine by now in your ninth grade year. So let's get into our sophomore year, 10th graders. This is where we can start getting that visibility. It's critical, I can't stress this enough, it is critical that you know your metrics, your 60 time, arm and exit velocity, your pop time, your home to first, get that sprint speed. Metrics are so much more important at this stage than stats. Stats are like batting average, how many strikeouts you had, ERA, things like that. I don't care about that when speaking to an athlete. I care about these metrics, your 60 time, your arm, because they're undeniable where you're currently at. It doesn't matter about the competition that you're facing. So start understanding also your possible major that you're going to study in college. This is where you can start getting that motion in, or start getting those thoughts in motion, because we want to start preparing, and again, we want to have that clear path. So get a feel for maybe local college or maybe out of state. Think about what you could see yourself and where you want to play. And probably like 99% of the high school baseball players out there, you'd love to play at LSU, and that's totally cool. Or Tennessee, right? But think about, do I even want to travel to Tennessee? Do I even want to travel to Louisiana? Maybe I'm in Washington State and I'm going to be a little bit homesick and I need my parents around. Maybe I want to think about schools that are a little bit more local. So start to visualize that. If your player is college caliber, maybe this is going to confuse you guys, but if your son has what it takes and will become a college baseball player, he is not asking himself questions like, how bad do I want it? Can I play college baseball? That just shows a lack of confidence and a little bit of doubt. What should I do now, right? If your son is going to play college baseball, he does not ask himself like, well, what should I do now, right? If your player is a college caliber player that will play college baseball, he is telling himself, well, obviously I'm going to play college baseball. That's just part of the path that I am on, with utmost confidence in his bones. So let's now talk about 11th graders pre-August 1st, and this is truly our leverage year. So this is where we want to pave the way for success on August 1st. For those that don't know, August 1st is when college coaches can contact us. Before that, we can contact them through email and initiate those conversations. That's where a lot of people get the NCAA rules wrong, because there's constantly changes in the landscape. So I just want to tell you guys a quick little August 1st story for me. I was shopping at the Mall of America, and I think it's like Orlando, Florida, with my mom and my sister, and I think like 5 to 8 D1 programs. Florida State was one of them, NC State, Virginia. They called me up on my personal phone number, and I was smart enough to save the contacts pre-August 1st because I had some level of communication with them through email, and I had a gut feeling that they were going to reach out to me, and that basically told me, hey, Evan, you're doing the right things, you're on the right path, and that gave me a ton of confidence. So you should have a concentrated list of schools that are interested in you. And when I say interested in you, you are interested in them, but they are also interested in you. It's kind of like dating, right? We don't want to just go for the first person that we see and all like hope and pray and put our fingers crossed that they're going to be the best fit for us. We want to be interested in them and they need to be interested in us. It's a two-way street. So this is all done by focusing on that speed bump before, again, it turns into a mountain. And this is unfortunately where I meet a lot of players and families within the academy. So let's talk about post-August 1st for that leverage year, because this is a very important time of your high school baseball journey. So did you get a call or a text or an email from a college coach yet? And when I say this, I do not mean a camp invite or something that just has your first name personalized. Can you actually feel that this is a personal communication from a college coach? Do they have any, do you have any good reason that they being the college coaches, are interested in you? Do you have a solid reason other than they invited me to a camp? Okay. Do you have a plan to have more conversations with these college coaches? And are you physically developing? Are you getting to around that like 160 mark? Are you making noticeable progress in two of those three major metrics as far as your 60 time, your arm and exit velocity? So now we are a senior and still crickets. Nothing has happened. This is when we need to make that final push. So physically, this is the first thing that we really need to be asking ourselves is, are we in the physical best shape to prove that we have what it takes to play in college? Is our exit velocity above 95 off of the tee with a metal or wood bat? Is our arm velocity in the upper 80s? Because if not, we might not have what it takes to play college baseball. Is this from the mound? Maybe is it from the position? Is it from the outfield? These things are going to vary, of course. Is our 60 time showing that we're athletic? Is it under 7 seconds? Ideally, like if we're at the 6.9 second 60, we're going to be in the conversation of being athletic, right? And are you squatting and deadlifting and benching heavy, again, with that form being proper? And the simple question is, are you ready? Is your son ready to compete versus 21, maybe 22-year-old men? Okay, that's a simple question when your son's going to be a senior. So, and I know school is starting up, so that's a simple question that I'd be asking if we have any seniors out there. I know we have an Albuquerque. I'm checking out the chat right now. Albuquerque, New Mexico, 2027. We have a California, 2028. We have an 11th grader. We got Blake's 11th grader. We got a 9th grader. So yeah, really good information. And are we nurturing those relationships with college coaches? Are we sending progress reports on how our season, how our progress is going? And are they asking us for progress reports? So now you know where you guys are currently at as far as that span or that timeline. But what should I do now? What most programs will miss is, either the development, just 1 hour lessons a week. Honestly, that's child's play. Like there's 6 other days out of the week that we need attention to be able to, progress into a college or college caliber athlete. If you're just doing tournaments, yes, you can play baseball, but don't think that tournaments are going to help you play better. Don't mix development and playing. Development's physically getting better, stronger, quicker, things like that. Playing is going to help on your skill development. And also, some programs will just do recruiting, right? Like I mentioned earlier in the conversation, priority number 1 will always be development. So you've probably already lost if you have this mindset that an email is the reason why you or your son is not getting recruited, plain and simple. Or maybe just like coaches, they'll say that they're going to help you get recruited. Be careful of some of those false promises and hopes, right? So the triple play system, it really is that clarity in the whole chaos. So most parents think that they need more exposure, but exposure without the development, again, is just false hope. And we build players who are actually recruitable, not just visible with a simple email that we blasted out. So this isn't just like a PDF or a highlight reel. It's complete transformation, and we're looking to change our students' habits, all right? So let's talk about real quick with what we are simply not. We're not a recruiting service. We're we're not a camp or a showcase. By the way, guys, I just got done with a call a couple hours ago with a family that went through the whole conversation as far as an eligibility review. You'll see that QR code on the screen here in a second throughout the slides. Feel free to scan that if you guys are interested in seeing if we are a fit to work together. But I asked them verbatim, because they went on a call with NCSA. They thought we were the same going into the call, and they watched all the pre-call videos, and they literally said, no, you guys are completely the opposite. They actually said we're the best program that they've ever heard of, which was pretty good, a pretty good tell. But those are the people that actually go through the whole process, show up to the calls, do the homework, and show up prepared, right? But yeah, we're not even in the same bucket as a recruiting service. We're not a campus showcase. We're not in-person lessons. And we're definitely not that middleman networking vehicle for your player. And we're definitely not a course. And there you go. The eligibility review is in the top right. Feel free to take a screenshot, maybe go visit that later. But the triple play system, this is what we focus on. The physical development, most importantly, the mental performance, and the recruiting blueprint, all with that one-on-one support. So phase one, that physical development, this is where we're trying to build tools that translate. So if your son, his tools don't show up on radar guns or maybe on videos or game reps, he's getting passed up. And we're really trying to build that real strength, that mobility and explosiveness for his specific position. So if he's a pitcher, that's going to change. If he's a center fielder, if he's a first baseman or a third baseman, if he's a catcher, that's going to fit his dream, his position and his goals. This isn't just lifting weights to be a bodybuilder. It's training to be sport specific. All right. So we're trying to be athletic. We're trying to have fast bats, loud tools, period. Right. As you can tell on your screen, that's basically an example of what one of our workout programs will look like. It's written out by a New York Mets strength coach. I'll hit on that in a second. And by the way, that little glimpse, that's literally a snippet of how our workout programs are constructed. As you can tell, there's many months within certain phases throughout, whether it's in season or off season. So we take into account all of this to make sure that your son is being programmed for what actually will help move the needle. Phase two, the mental development, and this is where we're building that baseball IQ and in-game confidence. So the players who get offers, they're not just athletic, they think the game at a higher level because they are that much more mentally mature. So we train for that confidence, that composure, that IQ, just the same way like it's our bicep, right? We want to train it like a muscle. So that way when pressure hits, we don't fold like the majority of high school baseball players. Sometimes they'll throw their helmet, they'll get upset, they'll yell, they'll show terrible body language. This is not what we're going to do, right? And this is definitely not what we teach. So this is what separates prospects from players, okay? So we want to be calm, we want to be smart, we want to be mature, and that's what college coaches will remember, okay? So as far as my teaching style, everything that I do is exactly how I would prefer to be taught when I was in high school. So my teaching style is very, very visual, okay? We have visual examples. These are all GIFs. They're looping like 2-second videos so you understand what the movement is supposed to look like. I'm also in the top right explaining those so that way almost nothing will get slipped through the cracks, okay? Phase three, this is really the recruiting strategy. So this is the visibility with an actual purpose. So your son doesn't need to email 200 coaches. I'm going to tell you that right now, or go to 5 or 6 more showcases or some invite only camps or anything like that. He needs to position himself as the solution for that specific university, not just another email. Okay, we got him through those personal outreach, the video prep, email scripts, how to handle those real conversations with coaches when they do pick up the phone and call your son. Like, is your son prepared to have a conversation with a college coach to a D1 baseball program? Ask yourself these simple questions. So this is the college commitment blueprint. It's not guesswork or luck. This is a proven process that I used when I was in high school, and I've evolved and iterated it time and time again. This is truly one of the most powerful things that we teach inside the academy when we reach out to these college coaches. It's an email template. By the way, we have some freebies, so make sure that if you're still listening to this, you're going to want to stick until the end because you're not going to want to miss some of those freebies. The email template is actually one of them. But after we click send, we want to be tracking who's opening our emails, who's clicking on our emails, and who's responding to our emails. So now we've covered, the physical, the mental, the recruiting. Let's talk about some support, all right? So the support is huge, obviously. This is what support looks like with all my students. This is what we do on our onboarding calls, and this is when we start to show that excitement on making that progress of that change of habits. Another area of support, we do weekly updates as far as check-ins to see where our students are at. This is another test of accountability. It's also to see where our students' metrics lay. So your player doesn't your player does deserve a real shot, not just like a hope and a pray strategy, because that's where a lot of people are just winging it and truly spinning their wheels. So again, the recruiting game has changed. The portal tsunami has hit. The recruiting whiplash is real. And if you're not adapting, guys, that's the name of the game. Adapt or die, right? You're falling behind. But here's the truth, the families who win are the ones with an actual system, with some structure, a guide, with that clear path. If you're, taking a walk at night, it's a lot easier when the road has already been lit. by someone else. Okay, so again, the triple play system, we've already gone over all 4 of those. It is 100% remote. It is 100% online. It is not a PDF. It is not a YouTube video. It's real coaching from someone who's actually walked the walk with real accountability, that real structure, and real results. So let's talk about JT real quick. He is hitting probably the furthest ball he's ever hit, around 380. He's a 2028. He's going into his sophomore year from Boston. Has been making incredible strides. Hard work paying off like crazy right now. I think he had like 3 home runs in a single weekend. He just has this like life-changing moment of, wow, I'm actually able to hit the ball over the fence, and it's really, really cool. One cool thing about JT is these weekly updates. You know how many times I've had to remind JT to fill one of these out? 0. I've not had a single week, maybe a single week goes by he doesn't fill it out. But as you can tell, these are the data points that I love to collect. I studied aerospace engineering, guys. Hopefully it starts to make sense at some point. His exit velocity, we want to see that go up and to the right. And if we ever see plateaus, this is where we need to iterate and adjust JT's program. His exit velocity going up and to the right, I think he told me he's at 99.4 off of the machine as a rising sophomore. So he's physically built. He's been deadlifting over 425 pounds. He was deadlifting over 420 pounds as a freshman. So for the undersized freshmen, sophomores, juniors, maybe even seniors, think about that. That's your competition at the next level. So look at his arm velocity. You know, there was some changes that we needed to make in between like weeks 10 through like 18, where it was a little bit stagnant, but then out of nowhere, we started to see a jump because we made those adjustments. And then same thing with his current arm velo. I think as a catcher, he's really close to breaking into that 90-mile-an-hour club as a sophomore. That's insane, guys. A 60-yard time, this is something that we want to see go down to the right as far as his current time. Again, it's a sprint speed. As far as time shaved off, I think we're close to a 0.4, which is pretty solid. So like I said, guys, I've never had to remind JT to fill out any of these weekly check-ins. So he joined into the program at like 167 as far as his weight. He's over 180 pounds right now, and that's honestly where I think a lot of the development has come from. So that's 13 pounds of muscle. And he said those flyouts or doubles off the wall are now going over the wall now, which makes sense. When you put on that muscle, things will translate out there on the field. He's also been able to decrease his pop time, increase his arm velocity, exit velocity, and decrease his 60 time. We've also had other players commit like Emerson, Ian, Jacob, Gage, Nick, Ty, Earhart. And these student wins are great and all, but everyone's going to experience different results without a doubt. And we don't offer like guarantees, right? Like if I offered a guarantee, I promise you guys, every single one of you on Zoom, every single one of you guys on TikTok Live, Instagram Live, just shut your phone off, right? If I guarantee that you will play college baseball, guys, 7% of high school baseball players play in college. Even less, I think it's 2% get to play D1 baseball. It is incredibly hard. So I can give you all the resources in the world, but I can't guarantee that you do the actual work. I can guarantee I'm going to give you every possible support to make sure that you're in a better position than where you came to us at. All right. So we don't ever guarantee any type of specific outcomes. Now that we got that over with, the program works if your son does. Okay. These are some wins that you can find if you go to Mendoza Baseball Academy MendozaBaseballAcademy.com/proof. You can also just go to MendozaBaseballAcademy.com. You see the proof tab, click it, go to client wins. You'll see all of these screenshots, just like Derek, who's decreased his 60 time close to a half a second, exit velocity 8 miles an hour, and velo 4 miles an hour. Just like to say thank you for all the help throughout. That was in 2 months, guys, 2 months. These are all real results. We have client case studies for a reason. There's a YouTube playlist. You can also go to Mendoza Baseball Academy /case-studies, and you'll see all of these case studies of real families, real players making these real results, just like JT. And you have to really think to yourself, like, what is the cost of guessing through this whole college recruiting process, okay? Well, every season you wait, your player gets a year older. This is pretty simple stuff, but competition in a sense will get tougher because he's getting older and opportunities will shrink, and technically there's less scholarship opportunities today than there will be tomorrow. Think about that, right? I'm gonna say it again, slower. There are less scholarship opportunities, there are more scholarship opportunities today for your son than there will be tomorrow, okay? Most families don't regret investing in development because development helps in the college recruiting process. They regret waiting too long because the development compounds, and the earlier you start, the clearer that path is, the better the structure, the better the results. So what is the actual cost of guessing? Well, average college tuition is about $27,000 per year. If we average that out for 4 years, that's over $100,000. So if your son's able to get a 25% athletic scholarship, great, that's awesome. That's 27 grand we're able to save in college tuition. So you are already paying for it, just maybe not seeing the results that you guys are looking for. So whether it's, for showcase fees, and by the way, showcases are typically like one-day events, like Perfect Game, PBR, Baseball Factory. They're probably like around $1,000 maybe, so like maybe $5,000 in total. Travel ball, 4 years of travel ball, including gas, hotel, flights, Perfect Game, like FTB, Canes, Scorpions, East Cobb Baseball, tournament fees, hotel, travel. I'd say like that's probably like $4,500 a year. That's not cheap by any means. So if you do that every single year, like, are you really going to get the results you're looking for around $12,000 to $25,000? 4 years of private instruction, guys. If you do like 1 hour lessons a week and think that's going to like be the breakthrough for your son to be able to play college baseball or D1 baseball, if we did some math right here, that's valued at maybe like $18,000 over a 4 year span of time. If you're like, yeah, I love what this recruiting agency is telling me, they're going to help my son get recruited. A database like that could run you a couple $1,000s. Equipment, we put that in the, you guys, you already are spending over $10,000 a year not seeing the results. So you've already spent thousands, but again, ask yourself, has it actually moved the needle or not? So investing in a system, what I found with a lot of the students and families that I speak to, especially on a case study, it is cheaper than wasting money on random actions without a clear plan. It's kind of like blindfolding yourself and playing darts and expecting to hit that bullseye. Like, how in the world are we going to be able to find that system if we don't see the system in front of us, or if we don't have that clear strategy or that plan? So a lot of you guys probably think, like, when is the right time? So most families will say, like, I think we'll just wait by next season. I think we'll be able to figure it out by then. But by then, roster spots are gone, coaches have moved on, your players missed their window, and the best time to really start was honestly 6 months ago. So if you think by waiting 6 months ago, you're already a year behind the real competition that has had that mental or mature mindset. The second best day to start is today. I love the quote, and I've lived by it for basically my entire life. Do today what others won't, so tomorrow you can do what others can't, right? That's something that honestly changed the trajectory of my life. I can confidently say that's the reason why I played college baseball at the D1 level and also 7 years of pro ball, because I truly did today what my high school teammates didn't want to do because they wanted to go party. They wanted to go do the cool things and to be a cool kid. I did what I needed to do today, and in the most modest way possible, the most humble way possible, I was able to do things that they wish that they could do. Okay, so let that sink in. Can we do this triple play program in the summer? Yes, we can. Can we do it in the fall? Yes. Can we do it in the winter? Yes. Can we do it in the spring? Yes. Guys, the greatest in the world, the ones that I've been able to rub shoulders with, again, my high school teammates, they might think it's pretty cool that I've been able to play with Yadier Molina, Fernando Tatis Jr., Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Paul Goldschmidt, Arenado. They might think that's pretty cool, but the greatest, by learning from them, they don't wait around to get faster or to work on their backhand or to work on pulling the ball with backspin. They don't wait for those things because the perfect time does not exist. They don't wait for the perfect time to start chasing their dreams and their goals. So why in the world would your son be any different? You say that he wants to play college baseball. He says he wants to play professional baseball, but he's delaying, okay? Some frequently asked questions I just want to quickly hit on before we get into our Q&A. And by the way, we will be doing a Q&A here shortly. I am running a little bit behind time, but start thinking about some questions if you guys haven't already. I will be answering them with priority on who's in Zoom first, and then I'll head over on TikTok and Instagram as well. But are there any other coaches within the Triple A program? The simple answer is yes, there is. There's the New York Mets strength coach who writes the workout programs, but your son's going to be working one-on-one personally with me. He's going to have direct communication with me each and every day. We don't have that much video in the whole college recruiting process. How do we create a highlight video? It's 2025, guys. Calm down. We'll fix that. How long is the program? It's 4 months. Is it all online? Yes, it's 100% online. So if you guys want to see if we're a good fit to work together, we don't work with everyone. I want to be very clear about that, right? And it's by design. This eligibility review, by the way, the QR code in the top right, it's for serious players and families who are all in on making this happen. If this isn't a priority, totally fine. But we want to deliver real results like JT and Derek so we can use them. I'm going to be transparent. If we win, you win. If you win, we win. And ideally, like, that's the thing that we're looking for, right? We want college scholarships. We want players to be able to progress, right? So if you're a son, so do we. So if you're interested in booking an eligibility review with me or a team member, most likely you're going to be speaking with Greg to see if we're even potentially in a position to help you guys out with whatever you guys are looking for. Some players we can't help out. And we do only work with about 5 students every month to ensure my bandwidth is never stretched too thin, because I am one human being. I don't like being stretched thin. When my travel ball and high school coach told me that they were going to help me recruiting, I started doing the numbers. There was over 200 players in my travel ball organization, and I realized they can't help 200 players send out emails each and every day, okay? Like I mentioned, because I'm a man of my words, we have some bonus gifts, and these are going to be the QR code. So I do appreciate you guys for sticking around. Here is your reward. So 4 free bonuses. We're about to start our Q&A, so start thinking about your questions, guys. Don't be scared to ask that first question. First and foremost, it's a college email template. Next up, I offer a completely free a completely free upper body lift, so you get a feeling of like indoctrinating yourself on how my workout programs might be different, a little bit more baseball specific. There's also a sprinting program that I did each and every day for about 4 months when I was in high school. I was able to decrease my 60-yard dash time from a 9.5, which is incredibly slow, down to like a 7.3 my senior year. So made dramatic changes in my overall athleticism. If your son is currently not super athletic, I would advise him to do this program each and every day. And last but not least, a D1 college checklist to see if your son is even ready to play D1 baseball. You could use these today, doesn't matter to me, or better, we can help you guys build the rest as far as building out that routine and that structure. So again, book an eligibility review with either myself or a team member to see if we can be a fit with you guys. That's going to be on the left side of your screen with the circles on the corner. The bonus gifts are going to be on the right side of your screen. Feel free to take a screenshot if you are on Zoom. You can also, if you're on a computer, you can pull out your phone real quick, and those are going to redirect you to those specific links. So without further ado, let's open up the floor to some Q&As for the next like 10 minutes or so, just because I want to be able to hit on any of your guys' questions, anything that you guys are uncertain of. The way that we do this is either put a letter Q inside the Zoom chat, or I'll just hit some over on Instagram and TikTok. I'm pretty sure, I see that there's a good amount on Instagram. Guys, by the way, I'm going to be prioritizing those in the Zoom. So if you are on Instagram, if you are on TikTok Live, head over to my Instagram story. There's going to be a link to join into the Zoom, so that way you can get highest priority of questions. So it looks like we do have iPhone first and foremost. iPhone, step up to the plate. You got a question?
Yes, my name's Tim Marie. My son Logan just started with you this past week.
Let's go.
And like discussing with Greg, we're so far behind the 8 ball because of what we were told by his club ball coach. Mm-hmm. And we don't know. He's 6 foot, 165. He's right around throwing about 84. His exit velo, he's around 93 off the bat. So he's doing the system. He's working hard at it. Me as the parent, looking at what do I need to do in order to, find a college. He got an email from Dallas Christian University, I believe, and, that was exciting. But what do I need to do in order to get this process started that we are so late to the dance? It's not even funny. And I feel horrible that I've done this to my son, but I was taking the advice of somebody that had an old template, the way things were in the past. Mm-hmm. So what do I need to do?
Yeah, and that's a very, very common concern, and I'm happy that Can't exactly remember where Logan's currently at. I have a tracker to like show that. I don't have that up in front of me. But as far as like, of course, getting these emails out is priority number one, working with him right now. From your perspective though, and that's a very common question that parents want to be involved. They want to help out. They want to help push that needle, or maybe even help their son get a kickstart, right? Completely normal, by the way. The biggest area that I can really think about is, do you want to play college baseball? Or does Logan, right? If the question is you, like, that's awesome. I want you to have dreams and goals too, but like I want Logan to, because he's the one that's going to be going through that process. Completely normal for you to like want to assist in that, but I'll never forget this story that basically my mom was reaching out to a handful of college coaches behind my back in the whole college recruiting process. I did not like that because I was reaching out to those same exact schools because I was taking that initiative and I was just like on top of it. If they emailed me, I emailed them back within 5 or 10 minutes. I was on top of it. I wanted to make sure that these college coaches knew that I cared about playing college baseball. It wasn't anyone else pushing me or forcing me. And it's honestly the same conversation that I think I've had on some of these webinars before. Parents will ask me, who are, sons are already in college, they're looking to get drafted. What can I do as a parent to help get my son drafted? You might be surprised, but the answer is absolutely nothing.
Correct.
Because like skill, development, like you have to show that you're at the caliber of playing at the professional level. There's nothing that my parents did to help me get drafted by the Cardinals. Absolutely nothing. Because I took it upon myself and I did the work and I got the results out there on the field and I performed. So that way scouts knew what I was all about. So in a sense, it's the same thing in the college recruiting process, but that's where, of course, pushing him to make sure that he's on top of it. He's respectful of these coaches. He's on top of communicating back and forth and making sure that, of course, he's getting those emails out, which is definitely a priority between him and I, and getting those emails out.
Okay, that was the big thing is how, and that was the other kind of question on is, how does he, instead of just the broad brush, how does he narrow his best fit for whether it be D2, junior college, because that's what a lot of coaches have been saying is they don't even look at anybody in high school anymore. They let them develop the 2 years at JC or 1 year at a JC, and then they'll work at it from there. That way they develop into the men, like you said. Yeah, they're men now. And my son being a junior and 6 foot and 165, almost 100, he's working at it. But that development, should we even think of sending out emails? Should he send out emails to D1, D2, or should he just focus on JCs or the smaller schools?
My advice here is actually a Kanye West quote of one of his songs. You always want to reach for the stars because in case you miss, you're going to land on the clouds. And
okay.
that's the way that it sounds so corny. It really does, because I'll never forget my elementary school. Our motto or mantra was reach for the stars, right? It was the stupidest thing, but like I still remember that, right? And it does come to me because a lot of families will like downgrade their son, or maybe their son will downgrade themselves. And hey, I don't think I can play D1 baseball. Guess what? When I was a junior, I didn't think I could play D1 baseball either. And a lot of things changed for me personally. Physically, I gained weight. I became more athletic. I started throwing harder. I started taking that initiative to do 2-a-days. I was like, I'm going to get this result at all costs, right? And that sometimes like it can happen in a window of like 3 months, right? I can't stress this enough. When you're at the high school level, the difference between like your very average baseball player and like becoming a D2 or a D1 baseball player, it might sound weird, but living through it, it's so much easier to make a difference and separate yourself from those two when you're in high school. It is so much easier than doing it when you're at college level. It is extremely the hardest thing in the world when you're doing it at the professional level and you're in AAA or you're in spring training and you're playing with the best players in the world. The differences are like micro level. When you're at high school, it takes maybe, it depends on how much Logan wants it. Like if he wants to do 2-a-days 1 day out of the week, that's probably going to push him to the right level of getting better and physically develop and showcasing his metrics to these college coaches. So that way he has that mental fortitude of getting to play college baseball, because getting to play college baseball is an honor. You still have to earn that starting position when you actually get on campus your freshman fall, right? Nothing's handed to you at that stage, and most universities will actually over-recruit so that way they can get their own best cream of the crop. Right. So taking that into account, it's like that's where it's these habit building so much, and it really does have to come from within. I've seen it so many times where parents will want to be so adamant on helping out, getting that process started, getting the gears turning. It truly has to come from the player.
Okay.
Does that all make sense?
Oh no, it makes sense. I mean, yeah, he did. He does 2-a-days, 6 days a week.
Yeah. No,
he already does that.
That's amazing. That's good.
And we have discussed that him separating, instead of saying, in the state he's top 15, top 10 pitcher, junior year, separating and okay, he's here and everybody else is coming up behind us. It's just, put yourself in a situation where you're looking in the rear view mirror. And that's what he's working towards. I mean, he puts in, even before this and starting the program, he put in the work. He would have a rough game and he wouldn't lift 2 hours after the game. So it's that kind of mentality that I didn't have to install. He just
that's good. Yeah.
So I want to nurture it and do the right things as a parent, not overstep, but do the right thing as a parent so I don't handicap it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you're not the first parent to feel that way, and I feel like that's completely normal to want to help your son in every possible way possible. So that work ethic physically can be translated to other areas like the recruiting process as well. So that's going to be what my eyes on. Once I'm done here, I'm going to actually just check my dashboard to see where he's at in the launch process. The launch is basically when we click send. It's my favorite part of the program. I do believe I was communicating with him yesterday on Slack as far as getting, I think he finished the email template. There's really 3 things that we need: is the email template, the list of schools, and the highlight video. And I think he's done, I could be wrong, but I think he's done 2 of the 3, and then we'll be good to go for that launch call.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. It looks like we got another question from a senior. We got Salmon. I'm a senior in high school. I haven't made a high school team since freshman year, and I haven't started my recruiting process. What should I do? Also, is the process different for community colleges in terms of recruiting and competition? And I'm not sure if I will play due to my skill level. So first and foremost, we want to be on our high school team, because typically speaking, our high school competition isn't as elevated as maybe like a travel ball team. So this is going to be a good sign on if we have the ability to play college baseball one day. If we haven't played any baseball since freshman year, this is where we're a little bit on our heels. We want to start rigorously training, making sure that we're developing our skills so that way we have what it potentially could take to play college baseball. Maybe at that lower level, maybe NAIA, a D3, JUCO might be a good start. Maybe in a colder climate might give you an opportunity to be able to play college baseball, but at the end of the day, they do want to see some level of like a track record. Think, you're at a job application, they want to see a couple of references to make sure you are who you say you are, and it's no different in baseball as well. Blake, as far as the tracking data, I can get that over to you. That's basically something that I just need to do on my end to see where you're at. It is going to largely depend on making sure that you're keeping track of those weekly updates. So that's going to be something that I'll craft up for you, and I'll send you over a screenshot inside Slack when we are finished. So yeah, no, I'm a visual guy, so it definitely is going to help you as well. How can I get to NAIA? Also, I have played rec ball on a team. So NAIA, it's the same process as far as communicating. This is the time, if you're a senior, you already have time to be able to communicate with these coaches, because the floodgates have been opened up. So cool. Blake, appreciate you stopping by. I'm gonna hop over for about 4 minutes of Instagram Q&A. Anybody that has a question on Instagram, feel free to drop it in the chat. Also, anybody that's in our Zoom, feel free to drop it as well. CJ just asked a simple question, NCSA. I'm not NCSA, but yeah, NCSA, for those that don't know, it's a huge database. I'm just going to say that they're a halfway decent program out there. I've had some stories that families have told me, but it's a huge database. Think of it as Facebook trying to connect college coaches with high school athletes. And the downfall, in my belief, on the whole recruiting agencies or databases or agencies that are going to help out, I've actually heard great things. If you're track and field, if you are a tennis player, if you play golf, certain sports, this is what my 30,000 foot view is. Certain sports are more tech phobic and certain sports are more tech advanced. Tech advanced meaning like golf people, they know how phones work, right? Think of it, I'm not going to say phones, but like think about your old school high school coach, your old school travel ball coach, and he's 72 years old. He's been around the game forever. He has so much experience. He's seasoned to the core. He might not know what Zoom is, right? Let alone what NCSA is, right? So like these are the things that we need to take into account when we're thinking about sports like baseball versus golf or tennis, where maybe they use these platforms as like the central hub, kind of like a perfect game. Perfect Game is a well-trusted database. It's basically showcasing that your metrics are exactly what you say that they are. We have a question from Gabe. I understand that to be a corner infielder, you usually need to be larger than other teammates. When coaches recruit, do they emphasize height in those positions? So not entirely. So I got recruited by a shortstop, or as a shortstop and pitcher, and I ended up playing third base in college. And it's not like I was this massive guy. I honestly felt like I was pretty average sized for a typical third baseman. I was a little bit heftier in a sense. Wasn't super athletic. Didn't run super fast, but I had a really good glove. And they found that out, obviously. So they do take that into account. I would say the thing that they take into account more is your ability, especially your hitting ability as far as your power. Okay, so if you're a corner guy, it doesn't matter. So this is the best way that it was explained to me when I was with the Cardinals. Depending on where you play on the field in relationship to the center of the field. If you're closer to the center of the field, the more athletic you need to be. The further away from the center of the field, the less athletic you need to be. So think about this. Center of the field, who comes up first in your mind? The center fielder, right? Typically super athletic. Next up, second baseman, shortstop need to be super athletic, right? The further that we get away to the corners, first basemen, third basemen, right fielders, left fielders, you don't need to be as athletic because the balls aren't typically hit in the corners of the field. But what coaches will typically look for is a higher volume of production with the bat, meaning you can hit doubles and you can hit home runs and you can backspin balls and you have a good exit velocity. If you can do that with being 5'6", 150 pounds, and by the way, that's a little bit shorter than Altuve, great. That fits the playing profile of a third baseman or a first baseman. So hopefully that answers your question, Gabe. But yes, they do look for, in theory, the bigger guys, especially first baseman. Taller first basemen will play, if you are taller, you have the opportunity to potentially play first, but it really depends on your production with the bat. Are left-handed pitchers wanted anymore in college? Yes. I'm not going to go super in detail with that, but yes. Dad of a 7th grader, too early to sign up for your 4-month program. So Tatum, let's wait a year. Tatum Jackson 3.5. Let's wait a year because we actually have a hard and very strict cutoff for your son has to actually be currently in 8th grade or older to sign up for the academy. That's just our hard cutoff. So yeah, go Redbirds. I saw that over on TikTok live. should I go to a PBR showcase at 15? Is it worth it or wait? It's good to know your metrics. If you don't know what your metrics are, like I mentioned in the webinar, it is very, very important. So you have that baseline so that way we can see what that progression looks like and how much we are growing. But that will wrap things up. Everyone, I hope you guys have had a great time today. For those that, again, are curious about working one-on-one with myself inside the Triple Play, I went ahead in the Zoom chat. I just sent over a link to book a call with either myself or one of my team members. Again, we only work with 8th graders and up. The Triple Play is the physical, mental recruiting with the one-on-one support each and every day from myself. And we only work with those serious individuals who are in high school looking to play in college. Again, if your son wins, so do we. So those are the next steps if you are interested in working one-on-one with us and developing out the Triple Play system for your son. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us over on Instagram, TikTok if you really want to. Subscribe to us on YouTube. This is going to be reformatted and uploaded to YouTube probably here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So just be on the lookout for that. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to always DM us over on Instagram. Also, if you click that booking link and you don't see a date and time that works well for you guys, there's actually an option to text us. So go ahead and text us if you don't see a date and time that works well with you and your family, and we can get that all situated. All right, guys. Well, until next time, I wanted to wish you guys the best of luck this fall. And if you haven't started up high school, good luck in starting out with high school. If you have started out with high school, let's develop out some great habits so that way those time management skills are developed out before we step foot on college, on a college campus. And then that way we're just becoming better and better people. So, all right, have a good rest of your night and take care. Looking forward to speaking with you guys, possibly on a strategy session or, an eligibility review. Take care, guys.